guys, welcome to this episode of SideQuest, and today is Video Game Pickups episode 3. And I don't have a ton of stuff to get into here, but I got just enough to make for a small little episode, so let's just get right to it. First up is a game in the RPG Maker series, and that is RPG Maker Super Dante. Now, this is an interesting game. It is, like I said, it's part of the RPG Maker series, so it is primarily used for, making RPGs. But it does have an example game, much like Daimon. And the example game is really what makes this one kind of fun. And of course, it being an RPG Maker and in Japanese, it's not exactly English friendly, but there is a translation patch, albeit not a very good one, as the text gets really jumbly. And outside of a few key important things you need to read, so you can kind of fumble your way through it. And I've done about 2 hours of that and had a pretty good amount of fun. I think I've made it through 3 or 4 dungeons, and picking this game up for maybe $8. I can't help it. It's a game I have fun with, and for $8, why not add it to the collection? Alright, next up is The Great Battle 3. Now, I believe in the last episode of Video Game Pickups, I talked about The Great Battle 2, and of course, both of these are in the Compati Hero series, which I've talked about multiple times on my channel, so go check out some of those videos. But much like The Great Battle 2, The Great Battle 3 is a beat-em-up, and it's a pretty fun one at that. And whereas The Great Battle 2 was more sci-fi based, this one is full-on Dungeons & Dragons, high fantasy style beat 'em up. And it is quite fun, although it is a little cheap, kind of like its predecessor. It's a little stiff in the controls department, and then some minor platforming takes place here and there, and you can fall into holes and take deaths, and that really kind of sucks. But I would say for the $5 I got it for, it was definitely worth it. Although with shipping from Japan, it ended up being closer to $20. But no, it's The Great Battle 3. It's a game I enjoy. It was worth the $20 in my opinion. Next up is a kind of infamous game for being so bad it's good, and that is Pretty Fighter. Now, Pretty Fighter is a bad fighting game. I don't think there's a guard break. You can't throw somebody if they're blocking. There's no hit stun. It's hilarious. It's really, really bad for all of these great reasons, and it makes for a great game to pull out with friends when you just want something to mess around with and laugh at. And unfortunately, the game is rather pricey. I want to say I paid close to $40, if not maybe like $36 for this game, which is definitely a bit more than I would have liked to have spent. But, I'm kind of at that point in my collection where I've collected all of the cheap games that are pretty good, and now I'm kind of moving into the next tier of anywhere from $30 to $50 is kind of the next tier of Super Famicom importing that I'm getting into. And next up we have, I'm gonna forget the entire name, but it is part of the Puzzle Dama series, and it's like Sukete something something Taisen Puzzle Dama, and it's a lot like a mix of Puyo Puyo with the dash of Puzzle Fighter in it. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this game and the next one because they will both show up in a upcoming video, but who knows, that video might already be out when this video goes up. Speaking of the next game, oh, by the way, Taisen Puzzle Dama, I got my copy for about $10, and during my review of this game, I went looking on eBay as usual, and my lord, it's now going for like $30 to $50. I guess I really lucked out. But do be on the lookout for this game if it's cheap. It's pretty fun. And then next up is a nice box copy of Nage Libre, or as my girlfriend likes to call it, Nacho Libre. And it's a pretty cool strategy RPG that you don't really need to know English to play. Again, like I just mentioned, you'll hear more about it in an upcoming episode. But I love the box. I love the art. I am such a sucker for the Japanese Super Nintendo box arts because I love the anime style and the color. I'm just a real sucker for that style of art. But Nage Libre, very cool game, and this is now one of my more expensive games in my collection. I paid $100 for this, which, again, is more than I would have liked to have gotten it for. But the person I was originally trying to get it from on eBay had it going for like $60. Then when I offered them something lower, they exponentially jacked the price up to $160. So, and that was for a loose cart only. So I was like, alright, I'm just going to go and buy this complete in box copy for half of that. And then today's big item is something I've had pre-ordered since, like September or December of last year when it was first announced. But, you know, with the world and how it is in 2020, that got put on hold for everybody outside of Japan, and that is the TurboGrafx Mini. Now, I'm not big on the whole mini consoles craze, but the TurboGrafx is a system I've always really wanted to get into, and I just didn't want to collect for it because it is super expensive. Like, I already collect for the Saturn and the Super Nintendo, and those get pricey as is, and adding another kind of rare and obscure console to that was just going to be a little too much. And this was my perfect way to kind of get my foot in the door, really, was the TurboGrafx Mini, and it has a handful of great games. So, and what I love about it is you're not only just getting TurboGrafx games, you're getting PC Engine games, which is great. So stuff like Spriggan Mark II, Star Parodier, which I'm really glad is on here because that's a great shooter. The first Choaniki game is a lot of fun. Lords of Thunder, Airzog, so many good shmups on here. Splatterhouse, gotta love Splatterhouse. It's a shame that they didn't translate Snatch on here, and a couple other games, but you know, that's alright. We'll live. But I'm very glad to get this, because it was just kind of like a good way to get my foot into the door of the PC Engine collecting scene, and when this thing finally gets hacked, I will be sure to load it up with all the games as possible, because yeah, honestly, I just don't feel like going all in for collecting for the system, just because it's a little too expensive. But that's going to do it for this episode of Video Game Pickups. And check out my reviews, my other video game pickups, my topic videos, whatever else appears on my channel. And I'll see you all next time.